I'm back. It has been a hot second since I have recorded and had to look at myself in a screen for however long I decide to not press stop on this photo booth button. But something popped into my head this afternoon, and I think it's worth ranting to myself about, which is that the more I experience love and the more I learn about what it is and all the facets of it, the more awe-inspiringly terrifying it is to me. And sure, I think love is mankind's greatest achievement. And when we've sent probes into the stars, we've gone to the deepest depths of our oceans, we've unlocked secrets in genetic biology that you can't see with the naked eye. And I still think the greatest indicator that we are in this universe, that we are as in we exist, is love. Whether it's poetry, other forms of art, we've encoded love into science. Its beauty is in its difference. It's not the same anywhere. It's completely unique for every person, every soul who feels it. Which, by the way, is to say that, get this out of the way, I think that love experts are glorified relationship counselors. I think you can teach people how to care for each other, but you can't teach people how to love each other. And obviously care is a big part of love, at least in my understanding of love, which in my argument here is different from someone else's maybe. But it's the same reason I think that watching a love affair in a movie is not the same as, feeling it yourself, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to get the vibes off a script, and that can only do so much. The reason this is in my head is because I am fortunate / grateful / thankful enough to have fallen in love over the last calendar year-ish. And at first I was like, okay, this is scary. And then I went into this period of very mellow, this is like almost, I don't want to say an out-of-body experience because that doesn't have the right connotations. It felt like it wasn't me. Like I was living the life of something that I'd always imagined. But now I'm back in the realm of experiencing it. And my God, is there a lot to it. Love is so complex. And that's one of the best things about it, It never ceases to blow me away. I feel like it's the wrong thing to say, but it really is. It is, and that's partly due to the person that I'm in love with, but I love speaking to old people about their lives and their past loves or their present loves if they're, fortunate enough to still have them with them. Because they've had a whole lifetime to think about it and sit on it. And I'm 20, There's only so much that I can ponder. And it'll be pretty meager in comparison to anything that someone else would have come up with. But at the same time, it's worth starting now. It's worth thinking. I've got a friend of mine. I won't name drop him in case he thinks that I'm name dropping him in an ASMR video. And I truly think that's, without informing someone, that's got to be criminal. But he's a ponderer. He does a lot of reading. Not performative reading, like actual reading. And he comes to me with these fascinating connections between, it could be sport, and he'll bring in philosophy and passion into it. And it makes me think about the fact that love isn't just the love for one's partner, it's the love for their passions and their hobbies and their interests. And that's love. That's not some other word like fascination. That's still love. Because it occupies this inextricable part of you. And it becomes, in many ways, inseparable from who you are. You become what you love. And if I think about it now, the things that I love that make up the pie chart of Eli, they're all things that are me, that I love. The two are one and the same. And I'm sure this is not some grand revelation. I'm probably the 1,000,001st person to come up with this in front of their MacBook screen. But, it's still worth thinking about, because it makes love seem a lot less terrifying when you realize that everything around you that you hold dear, you love. I feel like the word love has a bit of a taboo sometimes with young people. They grow so afraid of it, or so cautious and wary of it based on cautionary tales they've been given by, people they respect. And some of those can be fair. There's always merit to not rushing headfirst into love, no matter what it is. Too much of a new thing. The saying. But that being said, it is still the core component, at least in my eyes, of the human experience. And I think to love and to be loved, that's the other part that comes with it. But it's unfortunately doesn't always come with it. I'm very grateful that it does, in my case. But to be loved it's such a one of a kind feeling. Just like to love. And the two things are very different. I don't think they're the same thing. Because to be loved means someone holds part of you in them. And I think maybe that is more human in a way. Because that's the leap we made from bipedal apes to people that, the fossilized remnants from 80,000 whatever years ago, maybe more, of man, early man, with, injuries that they would have sustained from fighting wild animals or accidents earlier in their life, and they lived a long life, and that meant that someone was looking out for them, someone loved them. It was one of the first things, probably before language. You can fact check me on that, but I'd put money on it. Love is probably one of the things that allowed that little walnut in between our eyes, or in between our ears, behind our eyes, to grow and to shape into the way we did, where we painted on caves to signify that we were there with our loved ones, or that we held intricate, rituals, funerals, burials, birth ceremonies, marriages. Matrimony it's a present feature in every culture. And while love and marriage are not synonymous, it is one of the best ways that we have, as a commonality between cultures, of giving a concrete feeling to love. It's more than a kiss, it's a vow. And you can give a vow without, but sometimes it just feels nice to hear it in that way, for people, I guess. I'd love to read a book on how marriage has changed over the years. And I don't mean in the roles, I mean in the actual ceremony. And different cultures have their different traditions. Which brings me to how I actually think Married at First Sight is a way deeper show than people think. Call me crazy, I'm just thinking about this now, but it brings a lot to the table to think about. You see people, whether or not you want to call it at their most vulnerable, they are emotionally putting the vow, capital V vow, there on the table in front of whoever's there and whoever's watching, and in front of someone that they have not grown to love. That comes after, and I think that inversion is what makes it so fascinating to us. It's what reality TV is in a nutshell. That might not be true. But yeah, I feel like I'm getting away from the point here. Love is fascinating. Love is terrifying. You've got to love.